Hello everybody, I am Kranth and I am here to teach you something on English today. So today before we talk about something in English, or today before talking about English, or today let us learn something, on English. We were been actually learning about how to pronounce words, how to talk in English properly, what are phonics, what are obviously antonyms and synonyms. So we were been learning little bit about vocabulary yesterday and day before yesterday. So before we go into the subject, let me tell you, yes, we were been learning about so much in English that we should start talking in English, because without starting talking in English, the only problem with us is we will never be able to communicate with others in English because we are not talking in English, isn't it? So now, as I have said you, from the starting of the class till now, whatever I have said you, it's all about communication. It's about English too. So when I talk about English and communication, probably and the most important thing that you have to remember is how are you communicating. So how are you communicating, how are you talking, or how exactly are you speaking also matters a lot. So when I say you how exactly people talk, yes, there are different kinds of communications. One person talks slowly, one person talk very enthusiasm, with lot of enthusiasm. One person talk very, very, very dull. For example, hi, I am not feeling well today, I might not take class today, I might not be able to travel today. So once we listen to them, probably we feel that this person is really not feeling well, or this person is really bored in his life. The same thing happens with somebody who is actually very active. For example, if you see, when you go for talking with people, you find some people are hyperactive. For example, you talk anything, there are few people where they always be hyperactive. If you just try to see few type of people, they are very, very, very active, that without talking, they try to, without you communicating back, they try to communicate very, very, very fast. That is wrong. You always have to be neutral. You always have to be neutral in communicating. You always have to be neutral in communicating. You always have to be neutral on sound levels also. So today we are going to talk about something which is very, very, very important and interesting, and that is word stress and intonations. I just want to make sure you read it when I say this: stress and intonation. Yes. Now, what is stress and what is intonation? What is stress? What is intonation? Where am I actually putting the pressure on the word? Am I putting on stress? Absolutely. So I said, let us learn about stress and intonation. So I am putting some pressure on stress. So today we will be learning about where to put pressure on the words while we are talking, and as well as what is intonation. Can you know? No, I'll tell you. Intonation is all about raise and down of your voice, pitch, which we call it as. So pitching of your voice accordingly to your subject or accordingly to your communication is simply called as intonation. So when you talk about intonation, always remember your voice have to be very good. And when I'm talking about stress, absolutely your voice again have to be good. Alright. So now let me tell you about what is stress. When I just say about stress, I want you to know what is actually stress in English. So now let us go through the slide. Stress. In linguistics, stress is the relative emphasis that may be given to certain syllables in a word. The term is also used for similar patterns of phonetic prominence inside syllables. So what is the meaning of this? So when I say in linguistics, what is linguistics? Like any language you take, stress is a relative emphasis that may be given to certain syllables on a word. When I talk about syllables, what is that I'm talking about in syllables? When I'm talking about syllables, the most important thing that you have to remember is how exactly you're bifurcating the word and talking or spelling it out. So when I say about the syllables, obviously you just have to remember, yes, stress here is always related to your particular word, how exactly you're uttering the word. Uttering the word is always about the sound and the stress when you do it, exactly to know or to make sure that the person is very comfortable listening to your voice or your sentence. Now, this is the most important thing I'm talking about in the stress. So, stress in English simply means putting up some pressure on the word at some particular time, especially when you're talking with syllables, all right? That is exactly phonics. There are sounds of English. When you're talking about the sounds of English, every word or every alphabet have a sound. So accordingly to the alphabets and the words, you just have to use a stress, which makes the pronunciations more better and which makes the other person who is listening to your voice will be comfortable, obviously. All right. So let us go to the second slide. If you can see, understanding syllables. To understand word stress, it helps to understand syllables. Every word is made from syllables, obviously, which I already have said you. If you can see, every word is obviously made of syllables. When I say about syllables, every word have, as I already have said you, one syllable word. Can anybody say that? Ant, right? So these are kind of one syllable words you just have to remember, where obviously there will be only just one vowel where you no need to bifurcate the word, isn't it? So even that, and we have single syllable, multi-syllable words. But word stress here is used to help the syllables, to help us through the syllables also. So I just want to show you the slide once again here. To understand word stress, it helps to understand syllables. Every word is made from syllables. Each word has 1, 2, 3 or more syllables. So now, dog, it's just one syllable. Quiet, 2 syllables. Expensive, 3 syllables. Inter, est, ing, 4 syllable. Unexceptional, un, ex, sep, shun, l, 5 syllable words. So what is happening? At few syllables, when I'm bifurcating the word and when I'm separating the syllables from the word, obviously few sounds are being stressed. Yes, so word stress will take the help of syllables when you are uttering any word. So this is what it actually means. So now let us just see what is prominence in the word stress. A syllable might be more prominent by differing from the surrounding syllables in terms of loudness, pitch, length. So when I speak about the word stress, always just remember that whenever I am uttering a word, it simply have 3 prominence in the word. What is that? Obviously word stress have 3 qualities in that, if I have to say more clearly. One is loudness, secondness is pitch. What pitch are you maintaining when you're talking? And the length. How exactly or how much pressure should you put on the word? So this is what actually word stress mean. Word stress have 3 prominence. Those are length, loudness, pitch. So these 3 are the most important things that you have to remember and the prominence of the word stress. So now let me take you with the next slide. The realization of stress in English. When do you realize actually? You know what, basically when you talk with somebody, according to your expressions, your voice comes down and goes up, isn't it? For example, how was your party last night? My party was not at all good. So what does this mean? My party was not at all good. So you are becoming little dull. So this exactly means the other person will obviously note that, oh, he didn't enjoy the party properly. So this is what the other person will get to know, isn't it? So now when I talk about activeness, how was the party? The party was really awesome. I enjoyed a lot. So when I say this, I have put some pressure. The party was awesome. So I have increased the length. I have decreased the first syllable pitch and the second syllable pitch. I have increased the second syllable pitch and decreased the first syllable pitch. Awesome. Awesome. So I was decreasing the initial syllable and increasing the second syllable stress, isn't it? So how you pronounce the word properly with the help of syllables? Yes, these have length, pitch and loudness in the word stress. So now I just want you to see the slide once again. In English, the 3 ways to make a syllable more prominent are to make it louder, longer, higher pitched usually. For some words, changing which syllable is stressed can change the meaning of a word. When I say this, I want you to remember that the realization, you realize that you have been talking in the word stress only when the word is put some louder length and pitch. We were talking about the prominence of the word stress. For some words, especially for some words which syllable is stressed, can change the meaning of a word. For example, if I have to say you, few words have syllable noticed properly, because some syllable words, I'll show you the examples, don't worry about it, but few syllables, few words have syllables so pointed noted that the entire meaning of the word can change with just one sound. That is again the word stress. Putting the word and the stress on the word, the entire meaning of the word can change. For example, will you change is something where you are asking a person to change in an obedient way. Change. Change. What are you saying? You are indirectly saying the person that he will never change. You are directly saying or indirectly saying him that please change. So you are angry on the other person. So this is what I'm talking about. A syllable, a small syllable on the piece of word can change the entire meaning of the word. All right. So now let me take you with the next slide. What is contrastive stress? In contrastive contexts, any lexical item in an utterance can receive the tonic stress provided that the contrastively stressed item can be contrastable in the universe of speech. No distinction exists between content and function words regarding this. These contrasted item receives the tonic stress provided that it is contrastive with some lexical element, notion and the stimulus utterance. Syllables that are normally stressed in the utterance almost always get the same treatment they do in non-empathic contexts. And now, when I speak about contrastive stress, yes, this stress is something where you will slightly use it on the word. It's not even used properly, Contrastive is something where it's basically have the same meaning even if you don't put the stress also. So this is what the meaning of the contrastive stress is, because sometimes what happens when you usually talk, what happens, sometimes you say the same sentence continuously and you put some stress on some particular words which also have no meaning even if you don't have the stress on it. So this is what the contrastive stress mean. Okay. So now let me take you with the next slide. I just want to tell you the example so that you'll have a clear idea on where exactly you should use the word stress. But before going with the examples, People, I always want you to listen that one thing called attention. When do people pay you the attention? You know when you have the word stress in your English or in your communication. For example, you are talking in the class, you are the teacher. So when you are talking or when you are teaching, when your kids are not listening to you, will you get angry or not? Obviously you will get angry. So what will you do? You will put some pressure on the word and then talk. Students, listen. So what are you saying to the listen word? You are putting some stress on it. So you mean indirectly to the students that please don't make some noise and just listen to the class. So this stress is very important to make people pay attention to your communication. Okay? So now let us see some examples. Consider the following examples. Do you like this one or that one? Now, I'll read the sentence once again for you. Do you like this one or that one? So, this one, what am I doing? This, I'm putting stress on it. Do you like this one or that one? So, when I say this one and that one, I'm putting some pressure over there. Alright? So, B, I like this one. Now, many other larger contrastive contexts, dialogues can be found or worked out or even selected from literary works for a study of contrastive stress. Consider the following. She played the piano yesterday. She played the piano yesterday. She played the piano yesterday. It was the piano that played. She played the piano yesterday. So when I say about this, obviously, as I have said you about the contrastive text or the stress, contrastive stress usually can be put the stress anywhere in the sentences, but usually can have slight change in the meanings. It does not affect much, but the entire talk is all about a girl and a piano. So this should never change, isn't it? So that's when the contrastive stress is being used. So contrastive stress can change the internal meaning of the same phrase which is happening at that particular moment. That is what the examples are. Alright. So now let us go with the second slide on examples. New information stress. In a response given to work question, the information supplied naturally enough is stressed. That is, it is pronounced with more breath force since it is more prominent against a background given information in the question. The first one, what's your name? My name is George. Where are you from? I am from New York. Where do you live? I live in Brazil. When does the school term end? It ends in May. What do you do? I am a student. So what is happening here? Obviously, when I say about new information stress, there are sentences, there was a conversation and there is a conversation happening right now in front of us. If you can just see the slide once again. Yes, what's your name? What's? There's a pressure on that. Name, stress on the word. My name's George. George. So you're putting stress on the George. Where? So where? When I say where, you are obviously getting stress on where. Where are you from? From. You're putting stress on from. I am from New York. New York. you are very happy to say New York at that particular point. Where do you live? I live in Brazil. When you have when stressed. Does the school term end? It ends in May. What do you do? I am a student. See, obviously people, the basic conversation or the most important conversations in our lives will only happen through the stress that you mention in your sentences. Because without stress in your sentences, the only problem what the other person will face is they will never understand you on what exactly you want to communicate with them back. So this is what you always have to remember whenever you are communicating with anybody. The only thing that you have to remember is where and when are you putting stress in your sentences. So this will help you make your English or the communication more better in understanding the other person or to communicate with the other person. So this is called the new information stress, and these are the few examples. For example, I'll give you another beautiful example of where to put stress. Okay, so this is a particular situation where you and your mom are fighting. For example, you and your mom are fighting. So you have gone to your mom. Mom, you're putting stress on mom. Mom is going to be like, yes, I need. You just put some pressure on need. I need some money. I need some money. So this means you definitely and you badly need some money. So your mom is like, what? I am not going to give you. So give is a stress again. So the mom is very sure that she won't give money anymore to the kid. So the kid is like, Mom, please give me some money. So kid is indirectly or directly telling mom that he needs money in any cost. So at the end, the mom will say, never. So never is something where I'm putting pressure on it, isn't it? Stress on never. The kid is like, and he leaves. So this is a basic conversation example where you exactly feel you are putting some stress on the conversation. If the same conversation happens like this, I'll tell you without stress how it will look like. Mom, I need some money. Mom, what? I'm not going to give you. The kid is like, what? I need, give it, please. Mom, never. So there is no feel in that, isn't it? So we need feel, we need that somebody is talking to us or there is a conversation happening. So then only the things works. So to make things work, you have to put stress in your word. So always remember that. So now take me to the next slide. Let me take you to the next slide. That is intonation. What is intonation? In linguistics, intonation is the variation of pitch when speaking. Intonation and stress are two main elements of linguistic prosody. Intonation is the music of a language and is perhaps the most important element of a good accent. Often we hear someone speaking with perfect grammar and perfect information of the sounds of English, but with a little something that gives them away as not being a native speaker. Intonation, the rise and fall of pitch in our voice, plays a crucial role in how we express meaning. Guys, so when I say about intonation, most of them get confused with word stress and intonation. When I speak about word stress, there is something where you are putting some higher sound on that word or pressure on that word. But intonation is something like a music where you will be just listening and speaking all about your same words but finding different kind of pitch or using different kind of pitch. Because I'll tell you what, when I go up, when I come down, when I raise your voice, when I come down, when I again go raise, when I come down, this simply means the communication, what am I doing, is actually healthy. Now I'll tell you, when you go for a hospital, when the machine that displays your heart rate, when it is upside down, that means the person is alive, isn't it? What if this line is straight? If the line is straight, that simply means the person is dead. The same with intonation in your English. Always remember, in your English, you always have to go up and down. If you're not going up and down when you're talking, that simply means even if you are good in grammar, even if you're good in everything, even you know good English, you know good spellings, you know good pronunciation, you know everything, but the only problem, if you don't know what is intonation, or if you don't know how to maintain your voice at that particular point or a situation, you can never be a native speaker. Native speaker is somebody who speaks an excellent English and who trains in English. So those are called native speakers. So I just want to tell you that to be a very good English talker, or if you want to be a good communicator, you always have to remember, no matter what language you're talking, intonations are very, very, very much important for you to use at some situations accordingly with your voice. So that makes more effective listening to the audience. This is what an intonation is. So now let me take you with the next slide. Intonation counters in English. Not all rises and falls in pitch that occur in the course of an English phrase can be attributed to stress. The same set of segments and word stress can occur with a number of pitch patterns. Consider the difference between you're going, you're going. So the first one have no question mark. You're going. It's just normally going. You're going, you're going. The second one is question mark. You're going. So you have raised the voice. That means you have given an intonation at the end of the going in the second line. So if I see the sentence, the rise and fall of pitch throughout is called its intonation counter. When I'm talking in a sentence, the rise and fall of my voice in a sentence is simply called as intonation counter. So this is what you just have to remember. Without an intonation counter in the sentence, you can never ever speak properly, because the other person will not pay you attention when you don't have that intonation counter in your sentences. Now let me take you to the next slide. English has a number of intonation patterns which add conventionalized meanings to the utterance: question, statement, surprise, disbelief, sarcasm, teasing. An important feature of English intonation is the use of an intonational accent and extra stress to mark the focus of a sentence. Normally, this focus accent goes on the last major word of the sentence, but it can come earlier in order to emphasize one of the earlier words or to contrast it with something else. Now, let me take you with the first point. English is number of annotation patterns. For example, you have gone to a college, and what happens over there? First thing is a question that the senior will ask you, obviously, isn't it? Hey, where are you from? You're going to say, I am from Hyderabad. And the second is a statement. They're obviously going to ask you, why are you here? So you're going to give a statement, sir, I am here to study. And then they're going to surprise you. You know what? I am going to rag you. And when I say about ragging, you will be surprised, sir, or what? And this is a surprise. So what and how are you saying what? You are saying what? So you have increased your voice in the same word. So that is intonation counter. And when you say disbelief, I am sorry. For example, there is a friend who have cheated you. So he have come to you and he was excusing you for something and you say, I am sorry. So what is that sorry and how you are saying it? You are saying I'm sorry, or you are saying I am so sorry. You don't want to listen to them. So that is what you are indirectly or directly mentioning. This is an intonation counter. And then last you have sarcasm. You have sarcasm, which I can tell you as one of the best intonation counters. When I say about sarcasm, when somebody is talking, you literally will comment on them, isn't it? For example, a person will tell, I have seen a ghost. You will be like, oh, really? So this simply means it is a sarcasm. Yeah, even I saw. So that is a sarcasm, right? So there are some things where with one word of intonation counter, you can rather make the other person understand on what you exactly want to communicate. So these are all about intonation counters, on how exactly you give and how exactly intonation counters have the feelings with. So most commonly used feelings, if you can see the slide, we have intonation counter utterance can happen at question, statement, surprise, belief, disbelief, sarcasm and teasing. An important feature of English intonation is the use of an intonational accent to mark the focus of a sentence. Normally this focus accent goes on the last major word of the sentence. As I have said you already, you're going. So when I'm talking, the last few words are actually raised when I'm talking in the second para. So what am I doing? This is a simple thing called intonational accent. It simply means you're putting some more stress on that particular word. When you're putting some more extra stress on one particular word, this is simply called as intonation accent, because without intonation accent you can never make a proper conversation, because intonation is very much required. Alright, so now let me take you with the next thing, tone. So till now, before tone, we were all talking about accent, intonation. You know what is intonation again? Raising and falling down of your voice. Yes, we were talking about the voice, but what is important in the voice? Yes, in the voice, the most important thing that you have to remember is your tone. Your tone, how exactly your tone is. So now when I am talking about the tone, I just want you to see the slide. A unit of speech bounded by pauses has movement of music and rhythm associated with the pitch of voice. This certain pattern of voice movement is called tone. A tone is a certain pattern, not an arbitrary one, because it is meaningful in discourse. By means of tone, speakers signal whether to refer, proclaim, agree, disagree, question, or hesitate, or indicate completion and continuation of turn taking in speech. Now, when I say tone, obviously pauses has movement. When I say about the tone, when you obviously speak about the tone, or when you talk in tone, sometimes you usually what happens, use some freeze, time freeze. We do some time freeze. What is that? You are trying to intonate with the tone, because intonate is always about the tone, but when you are talking, obviously at certain points you freeze and then you talk. So that what happens, you try to decrease the voice and increase the voice by stopping and again continuing the sentence. So when you are ending the sentence with large voice, obviously you start another sentence with a low voice. So this is again changing of tone, and the tone simply means, you know, you wanted to communicate. It's again communication. Without a tone, a communication is never been seen properly or heard properly or heard properly. The only thing that you just have to remember every time is tone plays a very, very major role in communication, and that comes under intonation and the word stress. Right. So now let me take you with a basic reading exercise about word stress and intonation. So now guys, what I'll do, I'll give you a basic example, okay? So when I'm talking, when I'm literally talking, what I can just show you is when without reading, okay? First what I'll do, I'll not put word stress and intonation. I will not use word stress and intonation, and I'll read a paragraph. And second time, I'll read the same paragraph with word stress and intonation. So let us see this first difference and the second difference. Okay. So now let us read the first time without using word stress and intonations. The Taj Mahal is a beautiful monument built in 1631 by an emperor named Shah Jahan in memory of his wife Mumtaz Mahal. It is situated on the banks of river Yamuna at Agra. It looks beautiful in the moonlight. The Taj Mahal is made up of white marble. In front of the monument, there is a beautiful garden known as the Char Bagh. Inside the monument, there are two tombs. These tombs are of Shah Jahan and his wife Mumtaz Mahal. The Taj Mahal is considered as one of the 7 wonders of the world. Many tourists come to see this beautiful structure from different parts of the world. So now, what have happened? Reading without word stress and obviously intonations would give you no feel of the story whatever you have read or the paragraph whatever you have read. Guys, did you really feel interesting when you were reading this paragraph without word stress and intonation? No, isn't it? So now let us see with putting word stress and intonation how exactly this paragraph will look like. So now let us see and let us read the paragraph with intonations and word stress. The Taj Mahal. The Taj Mahal is a beautiful monument built in 1631 by an emperor named Shah Jahan in memory of his wife Mumtaz Mahal. It is situated on the banks of river Yamuna at Agra. It looks beautiful in the moonlight. The Taj Mahal is made up of white marble. In front of monument, there is a beautiful garden known as Char Bagh. Inside the monument, there are 2 tombs. These tombs are of Shah Jahan and his wife Mumtaz Mahal. The Taj Mahal is considered as one of the 7 wonders of the world. Many tourists come to see this beautiful structure from different parts of the world. So how did I read now? Yes, it made people listen and it made the paragraph interesting too. The second time when I have read, you have understood at least 1 or 2 or 3 sentences clearly, and you can say the meaning without even asking you about the paragraph. So this is what makes difference when you use word stress and intonation. People always remember one important thing, that is without word stress and intonation, your sound or your sentences or your communication seems, or you know, it feels so mum to hear, because when you don't have that sound or the pitch levels in your communication, what happens? Your communication looks so dead. So please make sure that you have the fluctuations in your pitch, raises and falls in your voice, that is tone. When you obviously use your tone when you're talking, make sure you have fluctuations in your tone. At the same time, when you are talking English, make sure at few syllable points you are using word stress. For example, you are awesome. So you are simply saying the person is awesome. Or directly say wow. So you're putting some pressure on the word. So few word stresses with intonations makes an amazing English. So in English and communication, people, please remember that word stress and intonation play a very, very, very major role. Alright, so today we have learned this thing called word stress and intonations. So thank you so much for listening to this class, and please share this video, and I am Kranth. Thank you.